Welcome to your cardio and conditioning practice to support you throughout your cycle. So, this is a practice that I like to use once or twice a week, depending on which phase of the cycle I'm in. It's a great way to break up your strength training. I've been coming off a few days of really heavy strength training in the follicular phase, and this one just felt so good to drop that weight, to tap into a little bit of speed and lightness, that quickness, and to generate a little bit of heat. So, if you are in the first half of your cycle, follicular and ovulatory phases, you are increasing the intensity, you are picking up the pace, you're choosing the high impact options as appropriate for you. If you're in the luteal and menstrual phases, you're aiming for more steady state. So you're wanting to keep that continuous low intensity effort for the full 24 minutes. If you are looking to keep this short, you want to keep it to that 24-minute time frame, you can use the first round and the last round as your warm up and cool down. With that, really commit to the lower intensity to help your body warm up and cool down. However, if you're in the first half of your cycle, you really want to push hard for that full 24 minutes, you can use the warm up and cool down that I've linked in the description of this video below to make sure that you're bookending your practice with those complementary elements to help you warm up and to support your recovery so that you're not kind of dropping your heart rate off a cliff at the end. So that's an option available for the first half of your cycle. Make sure that you check out the description of the video for how to break up your intervals depending on which phase of the cycle you're in. I'll be offering a continuous 1-minute interval on the workout video. If you're in the follicular phase, you're breaking that up with 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest with pretty high effort, somewhere between 70 and 85%. If you're in the ovulatory phase, you're looking to max out those intervals. So we're switching to 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. In the luteal and menstrual phases, you're just moving continuously minute to minute, maybe using the last few seconds of each interval to transition, but you're keeping the intensity low. So it's in that warm up kind of range, somewhere between 50 and 70%, sticking closer to that 50% range if you're in your menstrual transition phase. Today we have 8 different exercises. They're all body weight only. We're going to be alternating between a standing position and more of a quadruped position to support circulation, to kind of encourage your heart to deliver oxygenated blood both high and low. And that'll help not only unlock your natural energy levels, but also to promote healthy flow. So helpful throughout the cycle to improve circulation and conditioning. We've got those 8 exercises. I do have the workout preview included in the description below. That one will give you the high and low impact version of each exercise. And this one definitely snuck up on me. Even the low impact variations can be very high intensity. So it's a great way to illustrate that you can do a lot of work without having to jump or be really hard on your joints. You can get so much conditioning effort out of those lower impact options. So I encourage you to try those on, just see how they feel, and then add the impact only when it feels appropriate for you. Again, this one doesn't have a separate warm up and cool down in this video, but I've linked to those in the description below. I've also linked to some resources so you know how to find your sweet spot for your heart rate, where to kind of keep the effort for each phase in your cycle. So you can be looking for those cues from your body to stay in those appropriate working zones and make this supportive for whatever phase you're in. So now let's get started. We are going to jump right into this cardio and conditioning workout that is supportive throughout your cycle. So knowing that you might be in different phases when you use this workout, make sure you tune into the video description to get a feel for what your interval structure should look like. I'll be using continuous 1-minute timers for today, but depending on which phase of the cycle you're in, you might be breaking that minute up in different ways. You'll also want to check out the description for where you want your heart rate to be. So kind of the effort that you're looking for in this workout. This one is body weight only. I haven't included a separate warm up and cool down because I'm going to be using the first and last rounds as a warm up and cool down. However, if you are in your high energy phases, follicular and ovulatory, you might choose to go all out for the full 24 minutes. In that case, I've included my favorite total body warm up and cool down in the description below. So be sure to check those out. You'll also find a movement preview where I'll break down all the different options for these movement patterns. But aside from that, we will get started with our workout. I'm going to get our timer going. Again, you'll have 1 minute continuous timers. We've got about 20 seconds before we begin. I'm going to be working to the 40-20 interval structure because I'm in my follicular phase, looking to kind of push for that 40 seconds and use the 20 seconds for recovery. So our first movement pattern, we're going to start in the center of the mat. We're just stepping out into a wide jack. Some call this the predator jack. I like to call it the give me a bear hug jack. Here we go. We step it out and together squeeze the arms to the center as you come up through center. Same things with the legs. You want to feel that zipping to the midline. We want to keep the chest upright, the low belly engaged as we step out. So if you're in the ovulatory phase, you are pushing for 30 seconds and then resting for 30 seconds. In the first round, however, if you're using this as your warm-up, you can keep that 40-20 or kind of move continuously for the first 8 minutes. Got about 10 seconds left in the 40-second interval. And then we're coming to our bear press. So in the subsequent round, I'll give you options for turning up the heat with those. If you're wanting to kind of go all out from the start, you can add the higher impact option. Our next movement pattern is a bear hop, where you're hopping heels to the sitting bones. But for our warm-up round, we're just using the bear press. Here we go. Straighten the legs, come back down. Breathe out and in. So I want you to keep the arms mostly still. You're just looking to activate the legs and the low belly here. So we come to that bear plank and then press with some power the legs straight. We're not letting that low belly soften, not rounding in the shoulders. Breathe in and out. Again, this is our warming round. So you're not looking to get too intense right from the start. We're just getting the body warmed up. After this, we have a kneel to stand with a toe touch. If the toe touch is too much with that straight leg, you can always make it a knee tap. So in about 5 seconds, we'll come down to a kneeling position and then rise to stand with that knee or toe touch. Here we go. Take it down, down, up, touch. And then you go back with that opposite leg. So you're switching sides each time. Make those transitions nice and smooth. So you might need to slow it down, especially if this is a new movement pattern for you. I like to keep my toes untucked for this one, especially with that toe touch. I want you to really feel that power from the hip flexors with some breath. In the next round, we'll be picking this pace way up. So we'll be looking to move as quickly as possible through that kneeling position. And rest. So again, you might be working 1 minute continuous intervals. You might have stopped at the 30-second point. This one is great for all phases. So use the intervals in the way that you need. Our next one, we are coming down into a ball pose squat. We're going to roll onto the back. Keep your arms down by your sides. Press your palms into the floor. Reach those toes up. And then step back into plank, step forward. So that's our low impact option. And then high impact is jumping back and forth into our sprawl. But for the first round, I'm just going to keep it nice and low. Walking back. Really use your belly to lift those toes, squeeze the legs together as you roll back. And back of the neck and shoulders stay grounded as you come to the floor. And rest. Next option, next movement is our drop squat to a chair squat. So it's simply going to step out nice and narrow, sweep the arms overhead, chair squat to the other side. And you guessed it, in the second round, you can add that jack where you're jumping. Let's begin. But for the first round, I'm just stepping out and together, tapping the floor, reaching the arms overhead. So we're covering some distance with the arms. We're staying loaded in the legs, so the knees deeply bent the whole way through. Try not to flare the low ribs. Try to get those arms nice and straight overhead, upper arm bones behind the ears if you can, without shrugging the shoulders. Some of these movement patterns may surprise you how challenging they can be, even at the low impact. And rest. Next up, coming into bear plank once again. This time we're doing our kick throughs. So you'll kick one leg and then the other, and then come up to overhead reach. And in the second round, that'll be more like a burpee, like we're hopping up off the ground. So coming into that bear position, you kick through, keep that leg suspended, hop or step the feet to the hands and reach. Come back to bear, kick through, and hop it up. You got this. Find that quick, efficient movement. Just reaching for the first round, and then we'll add some air time for the second round. Keep that belly nice and strong. Your hands and feet know where that starting position is. They know where they're returning. And rest. Come on up, shake it out. Next up, we have a lunge with a knee drive and hop switch. But for this first round, we're going to step switch. So it looks like this. We've got our hands to opposite elbows. They stay in this position the entire time. We're going to step back, drive the knee to those arms, step back, step switch. If you're in kind of your working round already, you are hopping to switch the feet. Otherwise, stepping forward and back, keeping those legs nice and low, those hips nice and low. I want you to really lift the knees to the arms rather than rounding the upper back and bringing the arms to the knees. We've got 5, 2, and 1. Shake it out. We have just one more movement pattern, and then we're going to turn up the intensity if you are in those high energy phases. If you're luteal and menstrual, we're staying steady state throughout this practice. So you're looking to be only around 50 to 70%. Next up, we have our push-up to a side plank, and we're going to alternate sides. For this one, you always have the option of bringing the knees down, especially in this opening round. As you're warming the body up, I've got a little bit of chest soreness from the earlier work in this series. So this feels really good to open the chest and activate at the same time. So we are strengthening the chest and then giving it a stretch. Open it up and rest. Let's come back through center. We're coming back to that predator jack or that step out jack this time, turning up the intensity if you're in the first half of your cycle. So we're going to jump out and then squeeze, maybe even clap the hands together in the center. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Hop it out and together. Keep it quick. You want those soft landings. So you're doing toe to heel, keeping the low belly nice and engaged. So you're not overarching the lower back as you come down through that goddess squat. Feel the stretch across the chest, and then with some power, bring the arms to the midline. You can even cross the arms here to get a little more range of motion. And breathe. So, ovulatory phase, you're looking to max out the effort. 80 to 95%. Follicular phase, you are in 75 to 85-ish. Luteal phase, 50 to 70%. And then menstrual phase, hovering right in the sweet spot around 50%. Bear hops are next. Remember, you can always take this as a press. Here we go. Hop and hop. I want you to find that bear position at the bottom of each rep. So you lock those hips and shoulders into place and then hop it up. Shoulders stay over the wrists. Gaze down at your thumbs. Keep it going. So this one, very customizable in terms of the effort. and how intense you can make it. So you have the option of slowing the pace, of staying low impact to keep that heart rate in the sweet spot. If you're in those higher energy phases, we're looking to push the envelope of your conditioning. We've got just over 10 seconds before we'll start the next interval. So luteal and menstrual, you might still be moving. Follicular and ovulatory, resting for 2 more seconds. Here we go. Kneel to stand. This is where we pick up that pace, we pick up that power. If this is your working zone, if you're looking to increase the intensity. Otherwise, stay in that warm-up mode, maybe slightly higher if you're in the luteal phase, but still steady state. Not really needing the recovery intervals because you're keeping that intensity below your high intensity threshold. I want you to feel that drive from the hip flexors as you bring the toes to the opposite hand. And rest. Rock and roll to our sprawl coming up next. So you'll be in your ball pose squat. Rolling back, remember to keep your arms by your sides. Glue the legs together and lift with that low belly. Here we go. Roll it back, lift up. Option 2, hop back, forward, and straight into it. If you can, use unsupported variation here. So you lift the hands when you're in that low squat so that it requires core strength to alternate between these 2 phases of movement. Make sure your low belly is engaged as you come up and bring those legs high. Neck stays long, shoulders grounded, and rest. Come up, shake it out. Again, you might be continuing through. We've got those 1-minute timers so you can break up that minute. However, it makes most sense for your cycle phase. We have our drop squat to chair jack coming up. So you can add that hop here, hopping down and up. Otherwise, you're just stepping side to side, finding that chair jack in the middle. So the key here is we're keeping tension on the legs by staying low. We're not coming up to that fully straightened position with the legs. So you should feel that build of the effort. 10 more seconds. This middle 8 minutes, if you are in the working zone, should feel pretty intense. But again, it's only 8 minutes. So you can get away with pushing pretty hard in that first half of your cycle for just those 8 minutes. Bear kick through to burpees next. Let's come down. Get into position and kick it through. One leg, then the other, hop the feet in and either reach or jump. I want you to find some quickness in the feet. Pivot on the balls of the feet here and trust your legs to know where they're going. And breathe. So the exertion phase, as you kick, has that exhale with some sound. Get as much air if you can. If you're adding the jump, and take it up. Rest. This one, no matter how you approach it, how intense you make it, you're going to be increasing that blood flow and circulation. So we're going from quadruped to standing, kind of alternating in that pattern. So we're making the heart work. Lunge, knee drive, lunge, hop or step switch. Knee drive, hop or step switch. Again, I want you to keep those elbows at shoulder height. So you're really having to drive that knee up to make that connection. We've got 15 more seconds left. find that power with your knee drive. Keep the spine nice and tall. And rest. Shake it out. Last exercise of our working round. It's over just like that. This one is a quick practice that you can squeeze into any busy day. Push up to side plank. Coming up next. Let's come into position. Hands slightly wider than shoulder width. You're going to bring the elbows slightly back behind you so that your upper arms and torso make more of an A shape as opposed to a T with the elbows coming straight out. Want them to come at a slight angle. It's a little more of a sustainable loading angle, especially for women. Let's take it open, stretch the chest. This is a good one for catching the breath, especially if push-ups are still challenging for you. I've been doing this for many years, and I still find push-ups rest to be extremely challenging. It's one of those exercises that always has a lot to give. Back at the top, 8 more minutes. This is our cooling round. Or if you're in those high energy phases and you want to take on a separate cool down, you can keep working hard for the next 8 minutes. Here we go. Step it out and together. If you're still in that high intensity mode, you're jumping out and together. But if you're cooling down with me, nice and easy, stepping out. So we reconnect with the luteal and menstrual phases here in cool down mode. Doesn't mean we're not creating the activation. Doesn't mean we're not promoting that healthy circulation and flow. You create that muscle activation to the center by squeezing the palms or crossing at the arms. And rest. Bear press is next. If you're still working, you add those hops. Turn up the heat. So you should feel, if you're in cool down mode with me, your breath starting to come back to that baseline. Let's find our bear plank position. Commit to shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Here we go. Press, come down, press. As you come to that starting position, I want you to feel the belly super strong, where you are at once lengthening the spine, crown of the head stretching forward, but you're also shortening the gap between hip points and low ribs. That's how we create that deep core activation. Keep this mostly in the legs. You should feel those quads starting to heat up. And rest. Slowly come up. Be mindful as you transition now between your quadruped and standing positions. We're coming into that kneeling position to our opposite toe touch or opposite knee touch. So opposite hand to opposite leg. Let's get ready. 3, 2, and 1. Kneel it down. Come up, knee or toe touch. Even though you're in cool down mode, you can still activate deep inside that hip flexor to move that strong, beautiful leg. Again, spine stays straight up and down the whole time. I want you to avoid crunching to meet that leg or those toes. If that happens, just bring it to a knee drive. Take the straight leg out of it. You'll still get that hip flexor activation, just slightly less tension because the lever is shortened. And rest. Rock and roll to our sprawl is next. So a lot of these body weight movement patterns are about covering some distance, traveling, whether it's up and down, back and forth. We are moving the body through full ranges of motion to promote circulation and increase conditioning. So we step back, there we are in plank, and then we're on the back. So moving between these two positions, I want you to create that candlestick shape with the legs without too much pressure on the neck and shoulders. So you've got the hips and belly doing most of the work here, not really using the neck and shoulders to lift those hips up. Roll it back and rest. Breathing here. We have our drop squat to a chair squat coming up next. Again, this one you can keep the hop if you're still in that working zone, or we're cooling it down, just stepping out and together. Here we go. Tap the floor, reach overhead. Tap and reach, especially in the cooling mode. I want you to keep that deep bend in the knees. We're keeping the tension on the legs, even if we're moving a little bit more slowly. As you bring those arms overhead, make sure you're hugging the front ribs in. We are so close to the end of this practice. Should be feeling some heat. Should be feeling maybe that uplift in your energy and mood. And again, you're customizing the effort to meet you exactly where you are. And rest. Bear kick through to that reach now, or if you're still working, you're doing that burpee hop. Let's get into position. Find your bear plank. And let's begin. Kick it through and through. Feel the belly activate to lift that leg. Shoulders stay in that nice position, aligned over the wrists the whole time. So you're not pushing back into downward dog. We stay in that upper plank position with the arms. Knees directly under the hips. Should feel some strong heat in the belly here. I know I do. Let's get one more and switch it out. Slowly come up, lunge to a knee drive, and step or hop switch. Shake it out. Just 2 more minutes of work left in this practice. And then you're either heading to your cool down or to the rest of your day. So if you're skipping that cool down, I want you to take this one nice and easy, slowing it way down. Just feel that stretch in the hip flexor as you step the leg back, and then contract the hip flexor as you lift the knee up. Again, keep that spine tall, straight and strong. Slow down the rhythm of your breath unless you're working all the way till the end. And rest. Coming into our push-up to side plank to close it out. This one, if you're in the cool down mode, I want you to bring the knees down for the push-up, maybe even for the side plank. Let's get ready. And 3, 2, 1. Push up, side plank. I used to struggle with knowing how to offer a practice to women at different stages in their cycle. And these conditioning practices are always designed to be customizable to support you throughout your cycle. So I want you to feel that sort of collective holding of space for not only yourself, but for other women and for the different versions of yourself that are present throughout the cycle. So you can be in this practice and show up differently. Rest. 2, support your body to meet your needs each day of your cycle. So I really want you to hold that space for yourself, no matter where you are, no matter what phase you're in. So that completes our practice for today. Hopefully those last few exercises were more cooling for you. If you still find your heart rate's very elevated, you can check out that 5-minute cool down in the description below. And that one will give you just a nice total body stretch. It's a great way to kind of resolve the central nervous system response and send you on your way to promote recovery and make sure you're feeling great as you finish up this practice. So thank you for joining me, for being here today, and for letting your body be moved.